Now, have you ever wondered why your cash feels frozen solid, like those leftovers at the back of your fridge that you can't actually get access to? So in this video, we're going to turn your fridge into a cash flow classroom. So let's kick off with your fridge. And this is a reasonable drawing. As you can tell, I did not do art at class. So there's a lovely little orange. We have a tomato here, a yogurt, and so on and so forth. So here's my fridge. Now, the metaphor I want you to use is that without liquidity and cash flow, your fridge is going to either be bare, there's not any fresh produce like this wonderful apple that I just got out of my fridge. It's nice and cold and I'm going to really enjoy eating it soon. So there isn't really any fresh produce for you to access, or your fridge is just bare, you don't have anything in it and you're going to have to go to the grocery store. And cash flow and liquidity is really very much like that. You want to be able to access those foods, those lovely, delicious foods in your fridge instantaneously, right? You need it to pay bills, to pay expenses. So I think the first thing to do is, in addition to my drawing of the fridge as the analogy, is to just define liquidity and define cash flow. Now, liquidity is basically liquid assets. It's anything like cash or cash equivalents. So, you might have bonds that you can access, savings accounts, all of these sorts of things where if you needed access to the money today, you could probably get it with very little notice. And the cash flow is all the cash in minus all the cash going out. And cash coming in might be things like, you've got a job, a salary, you might own property or real estate, so it's your rental income. And then cash out, you might be paying rent or a mortgage, car, petrol costs, etc. All the things going in and out. Now, obviously, what you want to be doing is you want to be like this fridge. You want to have a good balance between the fresh produce, the oranges, the tomatoes, the yogurt, the stuff you can access quickly, i.e. your liquidity, and you want to have enough of it so that when you need it, i.e. when you need to pay your expenses, you've got it and you can access it, right? So you basically tick off these two things and you balance that with your freezer. And these are all what I call, frozen or non-liquid assets that you could access at some point in the future when you need it, but you don't need it now. So I don't know, you might have a pie in there. There could be, some frozen French fries. You might have some frozen vegetables, so frozen broccoli here, etc., right? Now, the beauty of these things is that they're there when you need them at some point in the future. And that could be things like a retirement account, like your 401k, or a pension, depending on where you live in the world. The real estate itself, so the actual property. Because the thing is, with frozen assets and non-liquid assets, you can't get access to it today. So just like the freezer, you can't really eat it right now. You're going to have to take it out, maybe defrost it, maybe put it in the oven, cook it, microwave, whatever, right? But the point being is you're going to have to wait, right? You're going to have to wait. But it's there if you need it at some point in the future. So that's the difference between having liquidity and cash flow, i.e. your liquid assets, and the stuff in your freezer, which you want to access at some point in the future, but is very much frozen and you can't get access to it now. Now, why is it important to strike the right balance between these two things? Well, let's give an example. And using my tomato or my orange, I know I can probably draw a better tomato, but right, remember, equals liquidity and my cash flow. Now, You may have unexpected bills come up. Your car breaks down, you have unforeseen medical expenses, your roof starts leaking. You need access to liquidity. You need access to that fresh produce in your fridge because you're hungry, you need it now, right? So it's very important that you have that. Your fridge isn't running dry, it's not frozen food, and you can access it. So it's really important that you have good liquidity and good cash flow. But it's the stuff in the freezer, your pie, right? Your frozen broccoli. And I'll put maybe an ice cube here just to show that we're talking about frozen goods. It's your frozen stuff that's going to help build your wealth over time. It's the investment assets. It's your retirement account. It's your real estate. It's your long-term savings plan that you're going to need, right? So that's why it's so important to have both liquidity, cash flow, and the long-term investments, and striking a balance between the two. So in summary, just remember, what you want is a fully stocked fridge with fresh produce that you can access anytime, right? And you can keep going and it keeps replenishing itself. So you've got good liquidity, fresh produce, and good cash flow, so you can access it anytime and it pays your bills. But at the same time, you've got a fully stocked frozen food and lovely stuff for later. That's your long-term investment assets that helps build your wealth. So striking a really good balance between the two is what I would recommend. Now, you might ask, well, how much liquidity, how much cash flow? Well, that's really up to you in terms of what your expenses are. But typically, what I would suggest as a liquidity or cash flow is to have anywhere between 6 and 12 months of operating expenses. I call that OPEX. So add up what you spend in a month. That's on your rent, your mortgage, car payments, if you've got school fees, food, all your sort of stuff, your day-to-day living, and then either multiply it by 6, multiply it by 12 if you're more conservative. That's the type of liquidity and cash flow that you'll need on a month-to-month basis, just to be able to, maintain your ongoing costs. You want a little bit more in there in case you've got some unforeseen expenses that I talked about, whether it's medical costs or, your roof goes or your car needs fixing or whatever. And then your other stuff, your stuff in the freezer is really your long-term investments. So I hope you enjoyed today's video on how I described how your fridge can really teach you about liquidity, cash flow, and long-term investments. Please don't forget to subscribe to this video and add the like button. It really helps us. And until the next video, thanks.